Managed to get a little closer to the egret. Just starting to walk up the bank. I think it's being a little unnerved by the dogs. If she sees it, she'll have a go. No risk of her getting anywhere near it though. She doesn't like this cold water. Big softie really, but she will go and show some interest if she spots it. See how close we can get. There we go. Quite close up now. Still. Oh, just spotted the dog I think. And back to fishing, not too bothered. Lovely to see these birds. They nest quite locally to here between Blakeney and Cly at Wiverton in the trees. And there's quite a colony of them, so they're quite a normal bird to see on this cut on a pretty regular basis. Well, we're up now on the Norfolk Path, the Coastal Path, the Norfolk Coastal Path, thank Kate. Blakeney there, this is the path that extends out from Blakeney along the side of the cut. In the distance there you can see Cly Windmill. Beautiful reeds, beds of them here with wildlife ponds just on the back of this path, which forms the second line of sea defences or flood defences. The path wends its way out, curving round, and you can just make out the people walking along as it wendles its way back towards Cly and then turns back in and comes right back in. So it completely encloses this area of marshland on three sides. In the distance, on the horizon, we've got the Sheringham Shoal, the wind turbines. Just you can make them out as little matchsticks maybe on screen if you've got a large enough display. Houseboat we refer to as the houseboat. It's actually an old barge that's been sitting there rotting away and decaying for the 20 odd years we've been coming to Blakeney.
Somebody was converting it into a houseboat at some point.
I think it periodically gets sold on and somebody takes on the project. The cut coming down into Blakeney, you can see there a beautiful rich blue sky. I think people are travelling again because most of the trails there are jets hugging the Norfolk coast as they make their way towards the European airports, probably Schiphol and Charles de Gaulle. Blakeney to my right, with the sun just coming down in an arc and setting as it will to the west towards Morstan. Beautiful day for a walk. Dogs have enjoyed it. Wonderful place to come and visit Blakeney as a day trip or to stay in. All these facilities are on your doorstep, so thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. These wildlife ponds just on the edge of the coastal path as it wends its way out from Blakeney, in between Blakeney and Cly. This is Cly Marshes. They're fantastic wildlife ponds, and they're so accessible from this elevated footpath. Makes them a wonderful place to come and do some bird spotting. Also, in a couple of 100 yards, going to get a really good view back over the tidal basin that's formed behind the sea defences before it forms a channel coming back into Blakeney. These ponds are looking absolutely gorgeous in the winter sunshine that we've got here this afternoon. Cly Mill and Cly Village in the distance there. You can see right along the coast with the downs coming down, probably as far along as, I'm going to say Cromer, but I doubt it's Cromer. It's probably Sheringham at the far end of that one you can still see from this aspect. Beautiful open water, nothing on it on this angle. I'm sure it's teeming with wildlife if you've got the patience just to wait and watch for a while. This old fishing boat's been abandoned here, washed up on high tide or a storm many decades ago and has been decaying since. Just the skeleton almost left. It's probably been photographed thousands and thousands of times by tourists. Its paintwork as it's decayed has really been quite artistic, and it's a bit of a local Blakeney feature. And there's a lovely patina to the paint as it's decayed off this old rib. Full of mud, decaying away. Still some quite substantial timbers left inside it. Substantial sized boat, probably around 24, 30 foot. From the coastal path, as you walk out, start to get a view back towards the lagoon or bay that is formed behind the shingle bank. It's an absolute haven for wading seabirds. At low tide it's almost entirely mud with very little water in it. In summer we have walked right across it onto the bank behind it. It's possible to do it if you time it right, but you do have to have good awareness of the tides to do that. We're going to make our way now down through that gate and back across these marshes. There's a path that leads off the coastal path and down back towards Blakeney and Back Lane, where we'll walk through and we'll show you a little bit of that. It's a lovely change of environment when you get down to the level of the reeds and the drainage ditches that run through there. It's really quite interesting, so we'll go and show you that next. There's an absolutely enormous flock of waders, little white dots just behind those tufts of seagrass in the middle of this mud. I know on camera it looks as if this is water, but actually it's just reflection off the mud flaps. You can make out smaller waders in the foreground just walking across it, eating. And in front of the old building just to the left there's another large flock of brown seabirds. Again, with binoculars you'll be able to make them out walking across and feeding through the mud banks. We're heading off this path now. If we continued this way it'd take us all the way around to Cly. We're making our way down through this Styling gate and following that gentleman round and back through. Looks a bit muddy to be honest, but it does get onto a decent path, and we'll make our way back to Blakeney now.
Yeah.
There we go. If you come to Blakeney, remember to pack your wellies. This is a bit of a path we've got to make our way over before we get onto a decent path again. You can see just how marshy and low-lying it is now. We've made our way off the top path down into the marshes.
Wow, look at a massive flock of something over there. Look, huge flock. I think it's going to fly over.
Oh, making its way over the far cliffs. Don't know what those are. I don't think we'll be able to make it out in resolution on the camera, but a big mermation of birds, probably 3 or 4 miles away. Probably settle before they come over us, but you never know. It's difficult to imagine at this time of year with it being so wet, but these marshes are used for grazing both cattle in the summer months and sheep and lambs during the spring, and they're fenced for livestock, sheep netting and wires here, which are also used to keep cattle in when they're on these marshes. People do take their bikes along the coastal path. A little muddy, but perfectly navigable. You can't take any motorised vehicles on there, apart from wheelchair or mobility scooters. But push bikes seem to be okay. These are the cattle management pens. End of the made up track with the gate access going out onto the various fields and grazing that's being cleared in between the reeds. And this is very interesting. They're still cutting reeds here for using and thatching. It's one of the local materials that's harvested still in small quantities. Quite a bespoke art. Thatching in reed. Most of the thatch has been replaced by straw thatch, but you can see this area where they're still cutting it by hand and baling it into small round bundles for use as a roofing material. This is one of the sluice gates that controls the level of water within the marshes. It's low tide now, as you saw when we were on the full coastal path, and the water's over the level on this bit, which drains back out through a sluice gate and into the tidal channel behind us. And you can see it eddying under the tube below the path, and that's the channel making its way back towards the tidal gates that'll allow it to drain out at low tide without refilling when the channel's full later on.